Seth Rollins finally breaks his silence after being betrayed by the Vision. For weeks, fans around the world have waited for this moment, and now, in an exclusive sit-down far away from the chaos of WWE, Rollins opens up. There are no bright lights, no roaring crowds, no ring ropes in sight, just a man reflecting on the empire he built, the people who tore it apart, and the pain that still lingers. The betrayal wasn't just professional, it was deeply personal. Rollins recalls the early days of the Vision, when everything seemed pure. The mission was simple: to create a movement that would change the industry forever. It wasn't about control or dominance at first, it was about legacy, about purpose. He wanted to unite the best under one banner, a brotherhood of warriors who believed in something greater than themselves. But slowly, ambition poisoned everything. What started as loyalty became greed. What started as unity became competition. And before he knew it, the same people he trusted with his dream were plotting against him. Rollins remembers the warning signs. The quiet meetings behind his back. The sudden shifts in loyalty. The cold stares from Braun Breaker during training sessions. The smirks from Paul Heyman whenever he spoke about family. And then, of course, the night it all fell apart, the night the Vision turned their back on him. That moment plays over and over in his mind. Braun Breaker, the protege he once called his brother, driving him into the mat with a spear that felt more like a knife in the back. Paul Heyman standing at ringside, whispering instructions. Brock Lesnar, the beast incarnate, emerging from the shadows, picking up the World Heavyweight Championship, and holding it high above Rollins' fallen body. The arena filled with shock, but in that chaos, Rollins says he found clarity. The Vision wasn't his anymore. It had been hijacked, twisted, corrupted. He admits that for a while, he couldn't even watch WWE. Every clip, every headline, every mention of the Vision's name was a reminder of everything he'd lost. But isolation gave him perspective. He talks about spending quiet mornings at home, away from the cameras, with his wife Becky and their daughter. The sound of laughter replacing the noise of crowds. The simplicity of family life healing wounds that titles never could. Sometimes, he says softly, you have to lose everything to remember what really matters. For Rollins, that betrayal cut deeper than any chair shot or steel cage injury. It wasn't just the loss of power, it was the loss of brotherhood. These were the men he trained, motivated, and protected. He gave them his time, his guidance, and his trust. And they repaid him with deceit. But as the saying goes, every empire that rises must one day crumble, and the Vision, in his eyes, is already cracking from within. Rollins turns his attention to Paul Heyman, the self-proclaimed mastermind behind everything. He calls Heyman the ultimate puppet master, a man who thrives on manipulating minds. Heyman doesn't fight battles himself, Rollins says. He convinces others to fight them for him. He turns allies into weapons and loyalty into weakness. He admits he underestimated Heyman's influence on Braun Breaker. He thought Braun was too focused, too loyal to be swayed, but Heyman saw the perfect opportunity. He saw youth, hunger, and pride, all the ingredients needed to breed betrayal. And then there's Brock Lesnar. The name alone carries a weight that even Rollins can't ignore. Brock is chaos incarnate, Rollins says. He's a storm that destroys everything in his path, including those foolish enough to follow him. Lesnar's involvement wasn't just an attack, it was a statement. It was Heyman's final piece of the puzzle, proving that the Vision had officially become a weapon of destruction, not creation. Rollins leans back as he speaks, his tone shifting from sorrow to resolve. He doesn't want pity, he wants purpose. The betrayal, he admits, taught him more than success ever did. It reminded him what true strength is, the ability to rise after everything falls apart. He says the hardest part wasn't being betrayed, it was realizing he'd lost himself in the process. For years, he was Seth freakin' Rollins, the visionary, the leader, the symbol. But behind that, he forgot the man, the dreamer who started from nothing and fought for everything. Now, outside the machine of WWE, Rollins has found balance. The silence he once feared has become his sanctuary. You don't realize how loud the world is until it goes quiet, he reflects. And in that quiet, you start hearing your own voice again. He's been rebuilding, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And while fans speculate about his return, Rollins doesn't rush. "I'll come back when it means something," he says. "Not for ratings. Not for revenge. But for rebirth." He then sends a direct message to Braun Breaker, the man who led the mutiny. "Braun," he says, "you did exactly what I taught you to do: take control, make them notice you, be fearless. But remember who gave you that fire. Remember who believed in you before the cameras did. Power without gratitude is a ticking time bomb." He warns him that every kingdom falls, every leader meets his reckoning, and when that day comes, Rollins will be there, not to destroy him, but to make him remember. "One day, you'll look in the mirror and see the same cracks I did. And maybe then, you'll understand what betrayal really feels like." The emotion in Rollins' words is raw. He doesn't hide the sleepless nights or the flashbacks that still haunt him. "There were nights," he admits, "where I couldn't close my eyes without seeing it all again. The betrayal. The smirks. The silence that followed. It's a kind of pain you can't explain unless you've lived it. But pain, he believes, is also the purest teacher. It breaks you down to your foundation," he says, "but it also gives you the chance to rebuild stronger." Rollins makes it clear that the vision may have ended, but his story hasn't. The man who once burned everything down is ready to rise from the ashes again. "I don't need a faction," he says. "I don't need an army. I am the fire." He hints that his next move will be different, more personal, more dangerous. "They took my creation," he continues, "but they can't take my purpose. When I return, I won't be coming for gold, I'll be coming for clarity." He reflects on how fame and success blinded him. "When you're on top, you start thinking you're untouchable," he says. "You stop listening. You stop feeling. But when it all gets taken away, you start seeing again." He confesses that for the first time in years, he feels human again. The cheers and boos don't matter. The headlines don't matter. What matters is truth, and he's finally found his dot. He shares that Becky was his anchor through the darkness. "She told me the night I got home, maybe this had to happen so you could find yourself again. And she was right." That one line became his mantra. It fueled his recovery, helped him face the reflection in the mirror that once scared him. Now, when he looks at himself, he doesn't see the betrayed leader, he sees the man who survived the betrayal. Rollins also takes a moment to speak directly to his fans. He thanks them for standing by him even when everything went silent. "You all believed in me when I couldn't believe in myself," he says. "You didn't just support the character, you supported the man behind it." He promises them that this isn't goodbye, it's simply a pause before the next evolution. "I've been down before," he reminds them, "but every time they count me out, I come back stronger." That's the Rollins way. As the interview nears its end, Rollins delivers one final message. To the vision, he says, "Thank you for teaching me that not every dream is meant to last forever. Some are meant to break you so you can build something better." He looks into the distance, his voice steady, his expression unshaken. "To those who betrayed me, I forgive you, not because you deserve it, but because I deserve peace." The final moments are quiet. Rollins sits still, the weight of everything he's said hanging in the air. He's no longer the laughing, flamboyant architect the world once knew. He's something else now, calmer, wiser, stronger. The camera lingers as he says his last words, "Every end is just another beginning. You can destroy a man's empire, but you can't destroy his spirit. And mine? Mine's just getting started." The screen fades to black, the sound of silence echoing louder than any crowd ever could. The Vision's logo flickers faintly for a moment before burning away into ashes. Out of the smoke, 3 words appear across the screen, words that capture everything Rollins stands for now: rebuild, reclaim, rise.